Welcome to Simply Explained English. I am Lisa.
And I'm Eric. Do you want to improve your English easily? If so, you're in the right place.
Okay, today we'll listen to a podcast about small talk.
Let's listen to it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Emma. Today, we're talking about small talk. It might seem unimportant, but it's actually key to building relationships.
Exactly. We'll talk about why it matters and how to do it well.
So, let's discover the power of small talk. Mark, why is small talk important? It feels so basic sometimes.
Think of it like this. Relationships start with small steps. Small talk helps us connect with people.
How?
Well, it breaks the ice. Imagine meeting someone new, saying, "Hi, how's it going?" Makes them feel comfortable. It starts a connection, and it builds trust.
True. It's about knowing someone as a person. It's not just for work, right?
No, it's for everyday life. Chatting with neighbors, for example, builds community. Small talks can become real friendships.
And for English learners,
Great practice. Simple phrases like nice weather are perfect for practicing.
when I learned Spanish, talking to the cashier about fruit was easier than big talks. It helped me feel confident speaking Spanish.
Exactly. Small talk is a warm-up for speaking English. It helps you get comfortable step by step. So, we know why small talk is important, but sometimes it's hard to know what to say. First, the easiest one, weather.
Yes, weather. Some people think it's boring, but it's perfect. Everyone experiences the weather.
Exactly. You can say something simple like, "Wow, it's really hot today, isn't it?" Or, "Looks like it might rain later."
And it's a safe topic. No one will disagree with you about the weather. It's a good way to start and see if the other person wants to talk more.
Okay, what's another good topic?
Hobbies are great. Asking what do you do in your free time is a nice way to learn about someone.
Yes, people love to talk about what they enjoy. Maybe they like to read, play sports, or cook.
And you might find something in common. Oh, you like to hike? Me too. Have you been to any good trails around here? Suddenly, you have a real conversation.
Definitely. Another fun topic is travel.
Who doesn't love talking about travel? You can ask, do you have any trips planned? Or have you been anywhere interesting lately?
Travel stories are always interesting. Even if they haven't traveled recently, they might have a favorite place they've been to,
And it can lead to other topics like food or culture.
right? And finally, you can talk about work or studies.
Yes, what do you do? Is a common question, but try to ask in a friendly way, not just like you're filling out a form.
Exactly. And listen to their answer. If they say, "I'm a teacher," you could ask, "What do you teach?" Or, "What do you like about teaching?"
It's about showing interest. The goal is just to start a connection. You don't need to have a deep conversation right away. Okay, so we have some topics, but how do we actually start a small talk? It can feel a bit awkward to just walk up to someone and start chatting.
I know that feeling, but starting is easier than you think. To start a conversation, just say something simple and friendly.
Like what? Give us some examples, Mark.
"Hi, how are you?" always works. Or you can comment on something around you. If you see someone with a dog, you could say, "Oh, what a cute dog. Is it a golden retriever?" Compliments are good starters. Just make sure they are genuine and not too personal if you don't know the person well.
Right. And what about keeping the conversation going? Sometimes you start talking, and then silence.
That happens. The key is to ask follow-up questions. If someone says, "I like to read," don't just say, "Oh, that's nice." Ask, "What kind of books do you like to read?"
Yes, follow-up questions show you are really listening and interested. If someone says, I went hiking last weekend, you could ask, Oh, where did you go hiking? Or was it a difficult hike? Show that you are paying attention.
And don't be afraid of a little silence. A few seconds of quiet is okay. It's not always necessary to fill every second with talking. If the conversation slows down, you can always change the topic or ask another question.
So, what should we do if there's a long silence? It can feel really uncomfortable.
You can use humor to break the tension. You could say something like, "Wow, we're having a really quiet moment here," with a smile. It can make things lighter.
That's a good idea. Laughing at the silent moment can help. What if you say something slightly wrong? Like, if you ask someone who has just lost their job if they are on vacation.
Oops, that can happen. If you realize you've said something a bit insensitive, just apologize quickly and move on. Say something like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ask if it's a sensitive topic," and then change the subject.
Changing the subject is key, right? Don't dwell on the awkward moment.
Exactly. Have some backup topics in mind. You could ask, "By the way, do you have any hobbies?" Or, "Have you seen any good movies lately?" Just smoothly shift to something new.
And what about open-ended questions? Are they helpful for getting out of awkward silences?
Definitely. Open-ended questions encourage longer answers and get the other person talking again. Instead of asking, "Do you like coffee?" Ask, "What kind of drinks do you enjoy?" It gives them more to say.
So, if it gets awkward, use humor. Apologize if needed, change the subject, and ask open-ended questions.
Yes, exactly.
So, to sum up, small talk is a really valuable skill. It's not just small talk, it can lead to big connections.
Small talk is a skill that gets better with practice. So take that first step, start a conversation, and see where it leads.
You might be surprised at the connections you make, all from a little bit of small talk.
Okay, well, thanks for listening to our podcast today.
We hope you learned something new about the power of small talk.
Join us next week for another episode.
Goodbye for now.
Eric, what do you think about the podcast on small talk?
I liked it. Their tips about starting with simple topics like weather or hobbies were really useful.
Yes, and the advice on follow-up questions was great too. It keeps conversations alive.
Totally. And reminding learners that small talk is a skill you can practice is so encouraging.
Definitely. All right, let's start our podcast. What are the words today, Eric?
The first word today is awkward. Then we will continue with shift and dwell on. Then lead to. And the final one is break the ice.
Let's start with the first word.
The first word is awkward.
Awkward.
Awkward is an adjective. We use it to describe situations, people, or moments that feel a little strange, uncomfortable, or embarrassing. For example, if you wave at someone, but they don't see you and don't wave back, that's awkward.
Oh, that's a perfect example. It feels a bit uncomfortable and you don't know what to do next.
Exactly. The word awkward is pronounced like this. Awkward. Can you try saying it with us? Awkward.
Awkward.
You might hear someone say, "That was an awkward moment," if something happens that feels a little embarrassing. For example, if you accidentally call your teacher Mom in class.
Oh no, that's definitely awkward. Another example. The silence in the room was awkward. This means the silence made everyone feel uncomfortable.
Another example is when you're meeting someone for the first time and no one knows what to say. You might call it an awkward silence.
I've been there. Those quiet moments can feel so strange. But Eric, is awkward formal or informal?
Awkward is a neutral word. You can use it in both formal and informal situations. For example, in an email to a colleague, you might write, "I'm sorry if this request seems awkward." Or, with friends, you can say, "That was such an awkward moment."
Okay, well, that's it for the word awkward. Now, let's move on to our next word.
The next word is shift.
Shift.
Shift is a verb and a noun. As a verb, it means to move or change something from one place, position, or direction to another. As a noun, it refers to the act of moving or changing, or it can mean a period of work, like a work shift.
That's right. For example, if you move a table from one side of the room to the other, you're shifting it. Or, if you change your opinion about something, you're shifting your perspective.
Here's an example sentence. She shifted the chair closer to the window. This means she moved the chair to a new position near the window.
And here's another example. He works the night shift at the hospital. This means he works during the night hours at the hospital.
When using shift as a verb, it's often followed by a preposition like to or from. For example, the wind shifted from north to south.
And as a noun, it's commonly used with words like work, day, or night to describe a period of work, like day shift or night shift.
Remember, shift is a very useful word. You can use it to talk about moving things or changing ideas, and it's also great for talking about work schedules.
Okay, well, we've explained the word shift pretty well. Now, let's move on to our next word.
The next word is dwell on.
Dwell on.
Dwell on is a phrasal verb. It means to think or talk about something too much, especially something that makes you feel worried, sad, or upset.
Oh, so it's when you keep thinking about something again and again, even if it's not helpful.
Exactly, Lisa. For example, if I make a mistake at work and I keep thinking about it all day, I could say, I shouldn't dwell on that mistake. Instead of moving on, you're stuck thinking about the mistake and it makes you feel bad.
Here's another one. If my friend is feeling sad about losing a soccer game, I might say, don't dwell on it. You'll do better next time.
That's a great way to use it. Dwell on is often used to give advice, like don't dwell on it, which means don't keep thinking about something bad.
So true. Eric, is this phrase formal or informal?
Dwell on is neutral. For example, in a formal meeting, you might say, let's not dwell on this issue. We need to find a solution. And with friends, you can say, don't dwell on it. Let's go grab some ice cream.
Ah, that makes sense. So, it's better to use this phrase for situations where someone is stuck on a bad thought.
Exactly. Let's give one more example before we wrap up. Imagine you have an argument with a friend, but later you decide to forgive them. You might say, I don't want to dwell on our argument. Let's move on.
That's a great example, Eric. All right, we've explained dwell on pretty well. Let's move on to the next word.
The next word is lead to.
Lead to.
Lead to is a phrasal verb. It's very common in English, and it means to cause something to happen or to result in something.
For example, if I say, eating too much junk food can lead to health problems, I mean that eating junk food is not good for health.
Exactly. The verb lead means to guide or direct. When we add to, it connects the action to the result. So lead to shows cause and effect.
Got it. Is it always about bad things, Eric?
Great question. No. Lead to can describe both positive and negative results. For example, hard work can lead to success. That's a good result.
Here's another one. Learning English can lead to exciting opportunities.
Perfect example, Lisa. Now, let's talk about grammar. After lead to, we usually use a noun or a noun phrase. For example, lead to success or lead to problems. But if you want to use a verb after lead to, you should always use ing form of the verb. For example, not exercising can lead to gaining weight.
Or, too much stress can lead to feeling overwhelmed.
Good example, Lisa. So remember, lead to, super useful verb that can be used in both informal and formal situations to show how one thing causes another.
Okay, we've reached the last word today. What is the last word, Eric?
The last word is break the ice.
Break the ice.
Break the ice is an idiom we use when we talk about starting a conversation or making people feel more comfortable in a new or awkward situation.
That's right. It's like when you meet new people and things feel a little quiet or tense, so you say or do something to make everyone relax and start talking.
Exactly. Let's say it's your first day at a new job. Everyone is sitting in silence during a meeting. To break the ice, you could say something funny like, "Wow, I hope this meeting has free snacks." That joke might make people laugh and help everyone feel less nervous.
Oh, that's a good one. I've got another example. Imagine you're at a party and you don't know anyone. To break the ice, you could introduce yourself and ask someone a simple question like, "How do you know the host?" It's super easy to use, right?
Yes, but remember, it's informal. We usually use it in casual conversations, not in formal writing.
I see. Breaking the ice doesn't always have to mean talking. It can also mean doing something that makes people feel more comfortable, like starting an activity. For example, at the wedding, the DJ played a fun song to break the ice and get everyone dancing.
Yes, Lisa, that's right.
Okay, well, that's it for today's episode of Simply Explained English. We hope you found the words helpful and the explanations easy to understand.
Thanks for listening. Keep studying your English.
And stay tuned. Bye for now.